When you see a deaf or hard of hearing person in public, what do you think? Does a part of you assume that they cannot understand you or anything that is going on around them? Do you believe that they wouldn't be able to fully enjoy life because of their deafness? Do you think you have to talk loudly and slowly for them to understand you? Well, I hate to break it to you, but people who are part of the deaf community in America literally use a different language, American Sign Language, or ASL. This language helps connect them to others who are deaf, and it serves as a membership card into a linguistic subculture of our society that not everyone is privileged to enjoy. I really want to show how deaf people and their culture is represented in the media, specifically in TV shows and film, and compare this with the truth around deaf people. These TV shows and films that I will mention either show the reality and positive experiences and representations of deaf people, or represent stereotypes and the negative representations of deaf people. Did you know that deaf people have their own culture? Well, they do. It's their deaf culture that focuses on the use of American Sign Language and identifying with others within their community. The definition of deaf culture is the set of social beliefs, behaviors, art, literary traditions, history, values, and shared institutions of communities that are influenced by deafness, and which use sign language as the main means of communication. The issue with this is that many people do not understand deaf people or their culture. They tend to jump to conclusions by assuming that deaf people cannot do certain things or communicate because of their deafness. Here are 7 common misconceptions and stereotypes about deaf people. Number 1, deaf people can't drive. Deaf people can drive. It has been proven that deaf or hard of hearing people are better drivers than hearing people and actually have fewer accidents. For example, let me show you a scene from the TV show Sue Thomas, FBI. In this scene, Sue, a deaf lady, is driving perfectly normal, but then she gets pulled over by the police. Let's see how she handles the situation.
How long has he been there? What's she doing back there?
Step out now.
Oh, Levi.
Get out of the car and place both hands on the roof of the vehicle. Nice and easy. Hello? Talking
Officer,
to you, lady.
if you're talking to me, I can't hear you. I'm deaf. I have ID that verifies this. My wallet is in my purse on the front seat.
I apologize, ma'am. I had no way of knowing.
What's really cool about this TV series is that it was made in 2002, and it is loosely based on the real-life deaf FBI agent, Sue Thomas. In the show, an FBI agent discovers Sue's ability to read lips and promotes her to an elite surveillance team. It really shows how just because someone is deaf doesn't mean you can't get a great job, and also shows us how deaf people have their advantages. Number 2, if you talk louder, deaf people can hear you. Come on. That is usually not the case, as it actually distorts your speech. It's better to speak naturally and at a comfortable pace. Let's take a look at a clip from Switch.Birth, the TV show, as an example.
I'm so glad you found it. Daphne, this is Toby.
Hey.
Nice to meet you. You two sure look alike.
No matter how loud you yell, she still can't hear you.
Right, of course.
Just face her and talk normally. Not too fast, not too slow.
It's okay. Everyone does it.
Number 3, all deaf people can lip read. I mean, some deaf people are very skilled lip readers, but many are not. Only about 30% of spoken English is visible on the lips. Number 4, sign language is universal. Actually, it's not. It's not universal because every country has its own native sign language. Since every country has its own way of speaking, the sign language is going to be different. Number 5, deaf people cannot speak. Some deaf people speak very well, and while others choose not to use their voice.
I just want you.
Number 6, deaf people are not as intelligent as hearing people. Come on, deaf people are not dumb. They simply just can't hear. Just like the ability to hear does not make you intelligent, deaf people can do everything a hearing person can do, except hear. Number 7, deaf people don't want to be deaf. They rely on a cure. I mean, some do and some don't. Many deaf people who use sign language are proud of their deaf heritage and do not wish to be hearing. This is normally referred to as deaf pride. The capital D in deaf denotes those who identify with deaf culture. They find pride in their deaf identity and see themselves as a cultural minority instead of a disability community, which is a huge part of deaf culture. Next, I will be talking about the American drama series Switched at Birth, which aired in 2011. It focuses around 2 different families who actually had their daughters switched at birth. One of them is deaf, Daphne.
9.9% certain that Bay is not related to you. You took home someone else's baby.
This show really shows the truth about the struggle and also the great experiences that deaf people have. The show actually has a lot of deaf actors, one being Sean Birdie and the other being Marlee Matlin, who actually play mother and son in the show. The show focuses on deaf culture, sign language, relationships between hearing and deaf people, and definitely defies the stereotypes that deaf people have.
You think she needs to be fixed, right? Daphne is comfortable being deaf. She likes it.
Oh, come on. No one likes being deaf.
The cult.
Has anyone ever watched Dancing with the Stars? Well, in season 22, Niall DeMarco, who is a deaf activist, actor, and model, actually won, which is amazing to think about because many people believe that because you are deaf, you can't achieve things, let alone dance, when you can't actually hear the music. Has anyone ever noticed that in horror movies, deafness is sometimes a key part of the plot? I mean, if you have a deaf character in a horror movie, it may mean that you're missing the screams of your loved ones, or you can't hear an audible threat. I feel like these horror movies like Hush, A Quiet Place, The Silence, and Orphan want to show that deaf people can have advantages in terrifying situations, but they also kind of target deaf people as the victim because of their disability. Deaf characters in these horror movies utilize their hearing impairments as a gift to fend off the horrors, while the hearing characters around them remain vulnerable.